guys, I'm back in my car again. I am going to a doctor's appointment today for my leg. I see my doctor about every 2 months for this, and actually that is part of what I wanted to kind of talk about since I'm early for my doctor's appointment and I have a little bit of time to kind of sit here and chit chat. And I wanted to talk today about what happened with my pregnancy and why I personally do not want to go through the physical parts of having a child. This is one of the reasons why me and my husband are splitting up, is because he's decided that he does want children, and I don't. It's going to be it'll be very hard on me physically to do that, and I don't want children badly enough to put myself through it. And I mean, people do say, well, what about adoption or surrogacy and all that? Yeah, in a perfect world, if we were rich, you know, that might be an option. But again, I don't want children bad enough to do that either. So it's definitely a deal breaker when your partner is wanting that and you're not. Understandable, you know. But what had happened was, back in 2007, I had gotten pregnant. I was 21, and what happened was I made it through the pregnancy all the way up to 32 to 34 weeks along, and that equals about, I think, 8 months. So what happened was, it's called abruption of the placenta, and that's where the placenta comes apart or breaks away from the uterus, the uterine wall. That's a big mouthful. And the reason why this happened was because I have a blood deficiency. It's called factor V Leiden, and the doctors did not know that I had that because it's very rare. So what happens in a abruption of the placenta, or why it happened, is because the little veins, like the vessels that attach the the placenta to the uterus, they didn't grow in strong enough to hold the weight of an 8-month-old fetus. Sorry, I'm still getting over that cold. But so her weight was actually what caused the breakaway to happen. And when that happens, the oxygen is no longer being provided to the fetus, or to the baby, I should say, because she was a full-on baby. If she was born alive, she probably would have survived. So yeah, that is a hard reality, and definitely very sad, and it's taken me a long time to be able to even just talk about it like how I'm doing now. As much as I didn't want children, it changes when you do end up getting pregnant, and you kind of develop a relationship with that baby already, even before it's born. I had, the day before that happened, I just got finished making her nursery. So I was ready for her to come. We were all ready, the whole family. So this happened very abruptly. I actually had gone to the doctor that day for a checkup, and I was feeling fine. I didn't have any symptoms. I wasn't feeling sick. You know, I had dinner. Everything was good. After I ate dinner, I started feeling a little bit of pressure, so I thought maybe I needed to go to the bathroom. So I went in the bathroom and I noticed that there was a little bit of blood, and my doctor did tell me if that ever happens to get to the hospital right away. And so we actually ended up calling an ambulance because I just did not, I was freaking out. I knew something was wrong. It was kind of like a motherly instinct where you just know. And I mean, I even had thoughts at that moment. I felt like nobody was being urgent enough. Even my husband, he kind of pissed me off because he ended up just calling his mom to ask, because his mom's a nurse. And I'm like, no, we need to get to the hospital right now. Something's wrong. Like, I felt like nobody was listening to me. And I actually had thoughts going through my head of like, I need to get this baby out like now or she's gonna die. And like, I was like, I'll do it myself if I have to. It got that bad. Luckily I didn't, obviously. But when I got there at the hospital, it was like a nightmare. They had ultrasounded just to kind of check up on her. They couldn't find the heartbeat, and the panic just kind of slowly graduated. You know how when doctors find something massively wrong and you can kind of feel the atmosphere is starting to get a little stressed out, but they try to be as calm as possible so that you don't freak out. That's what it was like. So finally the doctor came in with like a Doppler, and he was like, I'm sorry, but she doesn't have a heartbeat. And I mean, I literally thought that I was in a nightmare. I thought I was gonna wake up from this. And it wasn't gonna be true. Like, it was one of those out of body type of experiences. Probably one of the worst things that I've ever been through in my life, and I don't wish it on anybody. So what happened was, after that, they did an emergency C-section, and unfortunately we had named her Alexa, so I'll refer to her as Alexa from here on out. She was born, but she was stillborn. And this is gonna sound a little creepy, but we were allowed to spend a little bit of time with her before she was taken away. And that was very surreal to me too. I was still kind of like thinking that I was in a dream state and that I was gonna wake up. Like, it was just, it felt like I was in a nightmare. Seeing that little face, like it was a baby. She had hair, she had fingernails, she had eyelashes, she was beautiful. And I do have pictures of her, and I have her little ashes. Her little ashes are probably about this big, her little urn. So it's a very sad thing, and I know this, but the reason why I'm wanting to share this is because I know there's somebody out there that's going through it, and you know, maybe my story will help somebody. It also helps me to talk about. I've never really openly talked through this whole story with anybody other than my therapist, so this is helping me right now too. After the surgery, they had a hard time waking me up. I had also lost a lot of blood, almost to the point where I needed a transfusion. I wasn't coming out of the anesthesia well. It was emergency surgery. I had eaten a full meal hours before, so you can imagine what had happened with that. Yeah. So it was very dangerous. I actually almost lost my life that day as well. And about a month, you know, going through all this, they still were not aware of my factor V Leiden deficiency. They were not aware that that was what the cause of all this was. They didn't find out I had it until almost exactly a month later. I had gotten a severe blood clot in my right leg. I always want to say, and it made my legs swell up to the point where I couldn't even walk. It was 5 times the size of my normal leg, and they had to go in and do an emergency surgery on my leg to take out the swelling and to try and save it, because I could have lost my leg. So I was in the hospital collectively about 2 weeks for that, and I still actually, to this day, this was 2007, 2015, I still struggle with chronic swelling in my leg because all of the blood vessels were crushed and damaged. So I have edema, chronic edema is what they call it. I also have nerve damage in my upper thigh, and that was from the swelling too. The swelling had actually crushed my nerves in my leg. So I deal with a lot of chronic pain associated with that as well. I have a huge scar on my lower calf where they did the surgery. Some of my muscles are a little misplaced down there too, so it's a little funky looking. It's not pretty. It's definitely a major battle wound, battle scar, I should say. I used to be embarrassed of it and not wear shorts in the summer and stuff, just because it would chronically swell up. There's nothing I can do to make it stop swelling, so I would always have, my right leg would be a lot bigger than my left leg, and it just was ugly looking, and I was embarrassed to have anybody see it like that, but I'm completely over that now. Like, I will wear shorts no matter, I don't care who sees my leg anymore. Like, that's my battle scar. Like, I'm kind of proud of it now, because at least I have my leg. I very well could have lost my leg, so I'm lucky. Excuse me, I just had a soda. What else was I gonna say? I distract myself so much. Oh yeah, I also, with the blood clot, I also could have lost my life. I mean, it could have went to my heart, it could have went to my lungs, it could have went to my brain. So I'm also lucky in that sense that I'm actually still alive and still here, and that God protected me of it moving to any vital organs. So I am very lucky in that sense, and blessed, I should say. I was raised in a Christian home. I still believe in God, and I still have somewhat of a faith, but I'm not a super, you know, I'm not a church goer or anything. I wouldn't really label myself as a Christian per se. I'm more like spiritual now, but that's besides the point. I still pray, and because I really believe that that's what saved my life. And you know, everything happens for a reason. I do know that. So maybe my story will help somebody else out, and you never know. So I hope that you got something out of this from me sharing, even if it's just something to listen to for a little bit. And there's a big semi truck, sorry. And I hope you have a good day or a good night, whatever it is where you're at. And I will be talking to you guys very soon. Bye for now.